Hello, I'm David Saunders, Head of Client Development at Connexo. In November 2019, we launched a report called The New Landscape and In-House Perspective, which looked at the challenges facing in-house teams and the solutions they were deploying to address these challenges. Today, we're going to look at what's changed over the last 12 months. And to help us do this, I'm delighted to be joined by Sally Swift, Global Legal Operations Director for NBC.
Thank you for having me, David. Thank you for inviting me along to talk to you all today.
Sally, thanks for joining us as well. I thought we could look at three key areas: work volumes, legal technology, and team culture over the last 12 months, and what impact, if any, COVID has had. So starting with work volumes, how has the nature of work changed for your teams in 2020?
Well, 2020 has been unprecedented, as we keep getting told, an unprecedented year. But we've definitely experienced challenges because of the nature of our business being entertainment and media. We've had our theme parks closed globally. We've had our production shut down in terms of TV shows, in terms of film, in terms of content that we produce. So that's had a massive impact all across our business, not just in the legal teams, but definitely challenges in terms of work volume, challenges that we see with colleagues around the world, really, but also in particular, if I think locally to where I sit in the corporate function in the legal team, lots of challenges with helping our business colleagues, the studios, the theme parks, etc., make their decisions so that we can keep people safe, we can continue where possible, but if not, what we do to be able to pause production, to be able to protect our business and still continue when the right moment came along. So it's been quite a challenging few months, with lots of ups and downs along the way as decisions get made by governments around the world as to what we should or shouldn't be doing. But definitely challenges that we've faced based on all those decisions that we have to be reactive to, but ultimately keeping our own teams, but also our customers, our clients, our colleagues safe and well. So yeah, definitely challenging times this year.
You mentioned the increase in the volume of work, Sally, and that's a theme that has resonated with every in-house counsel that I've spoken to over the last 6 months. Have you applied new innovative ways to tackle the volume?
We've done lots of things, really. I think initially, come March, when everyone found themselves at home and not really sure how long they were going to be there, we've all had to sort of react and pivot and find a resiliency that some of us didn't really know we had in learning about Teams and Zoom and creating an environment for long-term, what's turned out to be long-term, sustained sort of working at home that I guess we didn't anticipate back in March. I think most of us thought this would be a few weeks, maybe a month or so, several months later when you still find yourself sitting at home and workplace environments have had to adapt, and we've helped with that wherever we can with our teams, but we're very mindful that we saw very busy periods initially, like I say, making decisions around our parks and our movies and our content when we're streaming content to people globally, but trying to do that while somebody's juggling homeschooling and caring for others, and just generally trying to get their head around all the changes, the daily briefings that we were all glued to screens watching in those early few months, with staggering, alarming numbers of infection rates and things. So it's been a difficult time for us and all businesses, but we've definitely seen an increase. And some of the ways that we've really changed how we work is embracing what we had in terms of technology, making sure that quickly everyone could use Teams, they could still interact, they could still collaborate, and finding solutions and ways to be able to still deliver what we need to our business partners, our businesses, but also be able to, on a personal level, connect with your team that you would used to, see daily, but now you're seeing in a very virtual environment with people stuck in kitchens and dining rooms, etc. So we've definitely embraced the technology we had. We've done lots of things that other businesses I'm sure have explored, but things such as the regular check-ins with people, pulse surveys, continuously making sure we're having conversations and checking in to make sure people are okay. But we've definitely seen an increase in how we communicate, and the methods for doing that have changed from being face-to-face meetings and trying to squeeze things in diaries to actually connecting probably on a more regular basis in a more informal way, and in some ways still getting the job done, if not in a quicker way. So there's definitely been some benefits as well as challenges that we've seen. Yeah.
You mentioned technology, Sally, and have you found that you've been investing in technology during 2020? And if so, has that been a consequence of COVID or was it planned?
We've not had a huge investment in technology. I think where we've invested is more time in our existing technology. We are definitely guilty of not fully utilising the technology that we had. And until you find yourselves in a new environment, in new circumstances. We've rolled out Teams before. It was felt quite optional, so some people loved it, other teams have never turned it on before. But we've embraced technology, and the investment has been in time, in training our teams, in showing them what new functionality they can access through the platforms that we have and the solutions that we have. We are looking at what we do into the future and what 2021 brings from us, but we've not had any significant investment this year. But truthfully, that it wasn't in the plan this year anyway. What COVID's done for us is be an amplifier to what we needed to do quicker, and so we've been able to deliver things from a legal ops perspective a lot quicker, and we've had. It's almost that burning platform, isn't it, that we hear about. It was definitely not one we created, but one that we definitely had to react to. And we've been very pleased with the results, how everyone's adapted and moved in the way that we've needed them to be able to achieve their goals and the aims and still deliver for our business. Yeah.
One of the themes that has been apparent actually both before the crisis and also during the crisis is a desire for in-house teams to ensure their in-house lawyers are doing the most strategic work and moving off that volume repetitive work. Is that something which you've been focusing on, and if so, how have you gone about that?
We have and we haven't. It's something that truthfully it was already taking place before this year and before COVID. So it's not something that we've had to move to, but I think what COVID has done is keep that absolute principle top of mind, and we've really challenged who's doing what, where are the tasks, where is the priority, who's working on them. We've been very, very agile in moving people around and encouraging teams from day one, because we're not in the same office and you can't pop down the hall and speak to a team around the corner. We've been very mindful that people need to speak up and tell us, how much they've got on their plate, what do they believe the priorities are they, where are they needing some help. And so COVID has been able to sort of take that a step further and allow us to really, I guess, more strategically make sure that the right people are on the right work. So we've done a sort of initiative about right sizing the work coming in and the matters with the people we have in the teams, and then obviously work with external providers and external counsel where necessary, but at a strategic level. So it's something that we did before, but we've definitely continued on that vein this year because of obviously the changes. Yeah.
Jumping back to technology for a moment, Sally, I know that you've worked on technology projects in the past. What lessons can you give others who are embarking on this journey?
I think the biggest lesson, I've done lots of different projects before, I guess, and more prior to being at NBC, but I think the biggest, most sort of important lesson that I would take away if I was doing something now is make sure that when partnering with either an internal team or an external provider, make sure they understand your why and make sure they understand the purpose. I'm a big fan of sort of people, process, tech, rather than find the shiny, whizzy latest tool that is going to solve your problems. I think there is something very, very important to making sure that your provider is an extension of your team. They're not just there delivering the solution. They're with you for a longer journey. They understand why you're wanting to make changes, implement things, because every change has a human element, and not everybody is comfortable with change. I think the other things that I've learned through projects that have gone well and ones that maybe didn't go so well are around taking the human element really, really seriously and importantly. It's about a good, well executed project will have the people at the heart of it, and it's important to get those early supporters and understand what they saw that they could buy into. And for those people who are a little reticent to change, keep selling the benefits, help them understand, or you understand, where their fears may come from and why they're resistant to that change. And those investment in those conversations will pay dividends. And if I think about successful sort of restructures I've done and reorganisations I've been involved in, tech projects, upgrades, all that sort of thing, the ones that are the things that I've worked, the projects that I've worked really well have all had that at the heart. So make sure your provider understands your why, not just the metrics and what the solution needs to look like, what you want to achieve, and then take the people with you, but understand their journey, not just the PowerPoint you're going to show them and why it's a great new thing for legal ops to roll out. It's got to be more than that. You've got to find out and make sure you're clear on what's at the heart of it and driving that change.
So one of the key takeaways is it's not all about the tech. No,
definitely not. Sometimes tech should be the solution, absolutely. If tech is if it's a technology project. No, it's not always about the tech. There's a lot of change in processes that have tech as part of the driver and part of the overall solution, but as an enabler rather than what we want first and foremost. So yeah.
Back to your team and how they've been coping with COVID-19. How have they coped? How have they worked through the crisis? Has it led to challenges, difficulties around cohesion, or has it been a smooth ride?
From my point of view, I'd say it would have been a smooth ride. If I asked the team, I'm sure it's not a smooth ride for any of us, really, is it? I think as a legal function, we are extremely pleased with how everybody has been hugely flexible, hugely supportive to colleagues. They find, time to make sure nobody is not checked in on, and we've had lots of things like lots of businesses have, but quizzes and social events and cocktail parties and all sorts of different things to get people together on a more social aspect. But there is almost still the work to be done, and so we've rolled out different things to encourage and create collaboration throughout that is sometimes those sort of like water cooler moments, I guess, and people would call them, in the office, where you just bump into somebody near the lift and you've not seen them for a little while, and we've been very active in encouraging that. We've also done lots of initiatives working on resiliency and really making sure people know it is okay to not be okay, and we're all going to have difficult days where it just feels like it's been a really long day, and your normal to-do list is just a little bit overbearing, but you plow through, you get there, and tomorrow is another day. But we're hugely proud of how the team have worked. It's a challenge for us in these times, for everybody, whatever business you're in, especially children at home and caring for others, and just the daily grind, I think, of the news, and there's so many different sources of challenge being presented at the moment, but no, we're exceptionally proud with how the team have coped, and they've been extremely flexible, moved to where we've needed them to if we need to, work in a very agile way with each other, and surprisingly been able to collaborate without seeing each other since March, which is very unusual circumstances, but yeah. So I think more personal challenges definitely, but collectively now we're very pleased with how the team have coped with 2020 and all it's thrown at us so far. Yeah,
that's great to hear, Sally. And when you look back at the year, we're now in October, can't believe that. But when you look back at the year and compare it to 2019, do you think there's been more pressure on the team this year than ever before?
Yeah, definitely, without question. And like I say, a lot of that is external pressure from just the circumstances we find ourselves in, being suddenly thrown into full-time home working for some people that have practically never done it before. Some people were, you know, had a hybrid of home and the office. But I think that presents its own challenges. But definitely with work, there are things that have landed on desks with our lawyers that we've just never had to help with before. You know, environments we find ourselves in, business decisions getting made that I think we've always felt like we definitely were consulted in you know, decisions by our businesses, by the studios, whoever that may be. However, I think now we really do feel like we have a seat at the table because so many different environments are changing. It feels daily, weekly, you know, different regulations, restrictions that are coming in and being relaxed and then coming back in again. And so we are constantly finding ourselves in you know, conversations. So there has been challenge without question. Definitely a different year to anything we've seen before, but in different ways. You know, we've had busy periods, deals, mergers, acquisitions, all sorts of different things in the past that have presented challenges. But I think with the external factors as well playing a part in this, it's definitely been an unusual year. Yeah.
And finally, predictions for 2021. What do you see as the strategic focus, Sally?
I think for us, I don't really like the phrase, but sort of doing more with less is key. And I don't necessarily think we're doing more with less, but what I think we're doing is exploring what we have and looking at optimization of what existing tools that we have. Microsoft for us this year has been, you know, a game changer really in how we communicate. So we use Teams all the time for our meetings and our calls. That said, we've encouraged people to just pick up the phone. You don't have to be on all the time. You know, I've read articles about Zoom fatigue. I've definitely had days where I can't bear to look at myself on one more meeting, let alone anyone else having to look at me again. But you know, it is a challenging time. I think where we see ourselves is exploring things like our processes that were built in environments, assuming we were all in one central place in the office. And those days feel like they're, you know, a distant memory, certainly at the moment. I don't know what we'll go back to. Those questions are still being asked and we're still making those decisions, but I think that's a little time off yet. I think that for us, looking at things like processes, including Automate and Flow from Microsoft. We have rolled out some Power BI solutions in terms of dashboards, in terms of our spend with outside counsel, for example. That's top of my projects at the moment. But looking at things that we have solutions in place, we've just not fully used them, or certainly not optimized them in the way that we can. There will be other things that we explore in 2021, but at the moment it's looking at those things whilst we ride out where we find ourselves now, really. You know, the increasing infection rates again and challenges around getting ourselves back to an environment where we collaborate more, but in one place. That would be lovely again. But yeah, working out what that needs to look like for 2021 is definitely our priority. And yeah, focus for us is truly just exploring what we have right now, and then making sure that we're working smarter. I think we've all realised the importance of purpose, be that working life, home life, etc., and being smarter with what we have, and not working harder necessarily, but like I say, optimising the tools that we have to make sure we are being smart about how we work, where we work, and how we collaborate. So that's our focus really for the rest of this year and into next year.
Thanks, Sally. That is a wonderful insight into the world of a global legal team during the pandemic and your future strategy and focus for 2021. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you. Thanks very much.